Private Frank Thompson, 2nd Michigan Regiment, Company A, Grand Army of the Potomac. Well, that's my name in the Army, but I'm still Emma. You're Emma. I'm writing this journal for you. If I don't see you again, I pray that someone will send it to you so that you can know something of what I've done these past years. It will be strange for you to think of me as a man, especially when you remember how much I hated men when I was a girl. But that was because of Papa. Papa was such a tyrant. He was going to make me marry that old man who lived on the farm next to ours. I was not going to do it. Do you remember that book that the peddler gave me when I was 12? Fanny Kemble, Queen of the Pirates? I told you the story about how she cut off her hair, went to sea, and wore breeches and became the captain of a pirate ship. When I read that book, I felt like a red-hot coal from the altar of the Lord had entered my heart. And I knew then that I would not have to grow up to be a slave to a man like Papa. And always after that, I was on the lookout for how I could make my escape. And it finally came when I was 17. I ran away, but I was always so worried that Papa would find me and make me go home. Then I saw an advertisement for a young man to become a subscription book salesman. And I thought, I could do that. So I got a suit of men's clothes, I cut off my hair, and I got the job. I became a young man hard to beat at selling books. I did well. I made money. I had my own horse and buggy and a gold watch. I was in Flint, Michigan when President Lincoln's call to arms came. And by that time, I had friends, companions, young men like myself. And they were kind and thoughtful, not at all like Papa. I was fond of them. And when I saw them ride off on that train going to fight, I thought, what should I do? What should be my part in this great drama? And it came to me that I could better serve sick and wounded men dressed in men's clothing. It would be less embarrassment for them and for me. My friends were in the militia, the Flint Union Grays. And when I got the chance, I signed up. I was a little worried about the physical exam. Regulations called for individuals to be stripped to the waist. I didn't do that. And the doctor just looked at my hand. What work has this hand done? Sir, I answered, I've spent most of my youth getting an education. That was it. I was in. They sent us by train to Washington. There were 35,000 Union troops massed in our country's capital. And we all thought that the war would be short. We thought that we could sweep rebellion from the land like an overwhelming torrent. And then the typhoid epidemic struck. Each regiment was responsible for its own hospital, and I was detailed to ours. I have inherited a talent for nursing. My hands have a magnetic quality to draw forth healing, and release suffering. Finally, in July, we were ordered forward to occupy Manassas Junction. I helped set up a hospital in an old stone church on the Warrenton Turnpike. And we could hear when the firing started. The roar of the cannons and the muskets, even the clash of steel. And then the wounded started to be brought in with horrific injuries. It was a nightmare. Dead bodies stacked up, amputated arms and legs thrown into heaps. Sometimes I had to use my teeth to tear the stiff woolen clothing that was drenched in blood. We were so busy we didn't think about what was going on the battlefield apart from the injuries. So we were surprised when we were told that Union troops had been routed and were retreating in panic back to Washington, leaving the injured in the hands of the enemy. I didn't want to leave the men, but they convinced me that I would not be allowed to care for them when we were captured. So when we heard the rebels at the front of the church, I escaped through the back. Washington was in chaos. Wounded men and drunken men filled the streets until General George McClellan was brought in. McClellan taught us discipline. He taught us how to be soldiers, and we loved him for it. He named us the Grand Army of the Potomac. All that winter, I was detailed to the General Hospital in Georgetown. And again, typhoid killed more men than battle wounds. I am now aide-de-camp to Colonel Orlando Poe. Our division will probably charge the enemy's works this afternoon. As I write, the roar of the cannons and the muskets is almost deafening. This may be the last entry I make in this journal. God's will be done. I must close. Colonel Poe has mounted his horse and says, "Come."